Hello and welcome to this video, which is part of a series based on content from the new book Chess for Life, written by me, GM Matthew Sadler, and Women's International Master Natasha Reagan. The book's for Gambit Publications. One of the players we examine in the book is the great English player Tony Miles. In the book we focus particularly on his openings during his career. We look at all the changes that took place, all the challenges that he faced, and all the weird things he came up with, and all the solutions he found to his problems. It's a fascinating journey. What I wanted to do in this video, though, was to explain a little bit the influence and the inspiration that Tony was for me. In fact, I learnt a huge amount from all the great British players. Dr. John Nunn's tactical insight, was a big inspiration for me when I was young. I was a decent tactician myself, but John was always just that little bit better. John Spielman was an absolutely massive inspiration for me, with all his wonderful chaos on the board. I always said that when I saw John play, I felt that the board got bigger because his pieces could do things that mine just couldn't. And playing alongside him at the Olympiad in 1996, he was on board 3, I was on board 4. That was a huge moment for me. Tony had another influence on me. He was simply a great inspiration in terms of fighting spirit. And I had 2 experiences against him, and these had, made a lasting impression on me. I mean, I still remember them now, and as I'm talking about them, those emotions that I had are still fresh. But it really gave me the feeling of what it was like to face a world-class player, and what you needed mentally in order to be able to survive against them. If we look at this position, this is from the Ostend Open in 1991. I was 17 then, rated 2480, so a fair bit weaker than Tony. I'd had a very good position early on, but I messed it up just a little bit, so I was now in a slightly worse rook ending. But I was hoping to survive, as you do when you're young. On my next move I played rook takes a5, re-establishing material equality. And I was expecting something like rook c7, and I played rook a2 check, take his pawn h2, and I'll try and survive that. I thought I might be able to. Up till this point, Tony had not been particularly impressive, to be honest. He looked a little bit jaded, a little bit tired, a little bit uninterested in a way, and hadn't really had that feeling that I was playing against a world-class player. But all of a sudden, just at this moment, I remember it still, he just seemed to transform in front of me. He just started sitting up straight, really focused, holding his head in his hands and emanating some sort of mental power and energy and confidence. And he played the next 2 or 3 moves incredibly quickly. He just played them in a flash. So king d3, king e4, giving up the h-pawn, and king d5. It was it was quite an experience. Now I found it mentally pretty tough to deal with, I have to say. It was from somebody just looking, rather uninterested and tired. Suddenly, I had this monster facing me, who was really just emanating this enormous will to win. And as the game proceeded, actually I defended pretty well. And Tony didn't play it perfectly either, but in the end I lost, and I had the feeling that somehow, that was kind of inevitable, really. I was so shocked and so surprised by that sudden explosion of willpower that maybe it just wasn't destined that I was going to be able to hold him. But it certainly made me realise, how tough you had to be. You had to be prepared at every moment to face an opponent who was absolutely desperate to beat you. It was very impressive. And was something that occurred to me when I played him the next time, and it was at Hastings in 1996. Now I was a good bit stronger at that time. I was 2565 rated. I was a GM, and this was just before the moment where I just started pushing through into 2600s, 2650 when I got my I had my best period soon after. And I was playing well at this tournament. I really was. I'd beaten some good players, and I was really in good form. And what happened to me against Tony absolutely depressed me beyond beyond description. It was terrible, but it was completely unnecessary. But it was just a testament again to what Tony could do to you, because we reached, after a rather dull Trompowsky opening, we reached this position, and not much is really happening, to be honest. I mean, we're just meandering along here, and I'm just doing absolutely fine. But what had happened was that I was short of time. There was absolutely no reason for it, but I was short of time. And Tony saw that I was a little bit nervous. And once again, we got that effect. He'd been a little bit, he hadn't been amazingly interested before. You had the feeling, well, I mean, the position wasn't amazingly interesting. But all of a sudden, he spied that chance to make something of the position. Not the position itself, maybe, but my time trouble. And once again, we got that enormous explosion of concentration and mental power. And I should have been strong enough to deal with it, but I guess that I'd just written the game off a little bit as a draw. I wasn't really prepared for that huge effort. And well, what happened? What happened was that I played completely decent moves. And then just at this moment, on the 40th move, instead of playing a move like Bishop H3, for example, when I'm probably just doing fine, or Bishop G2, then I panicked and played Bishop takes D3, and this king and pawn ending turned out to be lost. But again, it wouldn't have happened without that enormous feeling that I had a monster sitting across the board from me, who was going to try and beat me by any means possible. And I was so upset with myself after the game, because I knew that Tony was like that. I knew what I needed in order to be able to deal with that. And once again, I hadn't fully appreciated what it was, and I just lost the game. And those were very big things for me. And actually, after this game, I just decided that I really needed to prepare very, very specifically and very seriously against Tony, both for openings in order to hurt him a little bit, and also just mentally to make sure that I could deal with a guy of his force of character. And that did actually help me a lot. And I think that, in combination with the fact that I was getting stronger and Tony was just getting a little bit weaker, that let me have some good results against Tony in the end. But these were huge experiences for me, just in terms of just reinforcing for me how much mental strength, mental power and determination you need in order to match a world-class player. And Tony was certainly that.